Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to a new YouTube video on the channel. And today guys, here I am to continue my AFL 2023 3-game match reviews, and in today's video I'm going to be reviewing the middle three games from round 24. Those games are Brisbane vs St Kilda, Geelong vs Western Bulldogs and West Coast vs Adelaide. Saturday twilight footy was at the Gabba and it was Brisbane winning this game by 12 points. Brisbane 9-18, 72 defeated St Kilda 9-6, 60. And this game was a pretty interesting one and such a big one for Brisbane. They get a couple home finals at the Gabba, which realistically for them will probably end up being a home qualifying final and a home preliminary final. But if they do lose their home qualifying final, then they'll get a home semi-final. So if everything can go to plan for Brisbane, they won't have to travel for the final series until grand final day if they get there. They go undefeated this year at the Gabba, which is just such a huge accomplishment, and they knock off another pretty good side in St Kilda, and they did do it the hard way there. Accuracy was a really big problem. We've seen it's cost many teams multiple times throughout the course of the year. You got to kick straight, that's how you win games, but they were lucky this one didn't cost them. 2 goals, 8 to 3 goals, won in the first quarter, including Danaher missing a really simple goal from the goal square. You can see there the numbers of behinds are there. In the second quarter, they got going, 2 goals to naught, because the Saints kicked their 3 goals in the opening term. The Saints were strong in that third quarter. It was 3 goals to 4. They probably did have the better quarter, but Brisbane's ability to respond was good though. And then the final quarter, it was 2 goals to 2, but Brisbane still kicked 7 behinds and really did butcher an opportunity of having a bigger lead. 132 fancy for Marshall, who's right in the conversation of All-Australian. In fact, there's a good chance he might get that. It'll probably be between him and English. 121 fancy for Zorko, 118 for Berry, 103 for Sinclair, 100 for Neal. 3 goals for Membry, 2 for Danaher, Cameron. Disposals, 30 for Neal and Sinclair, 26 for Crouch, 25 for Berry. Marks, 12 for Zorko, 9 for Wilmot and Wilkie, 8 for Andrews, Wood, Webster, tackles, 7 for Berry and Dunkley, hit-outs, 30 for McInerney, 27 for Marshall, 3 for Danaher, Hayes and 2 for Sharman. Team stats now where the inside 50s dominance here for Brisbane, 61 to 38. And of course, because the Saints are only playing finals this year, going inside 50 38 times is not going to be good enough. Brisbane did win that area comfortably. They won stoppage clearances by a mile as well. The Saints did win centre clearances, but it was 33 to 16 stoppage clearances, heavily in favour of the Lions. Brisbane won contested footy, St Kilda won uncontested footy. Brisbane won marks inside 50, contested marks. Led for a little over 3/4 of the game, laid more tackles inside 50. Very nice win here for Brisbane. So huge for their top 2 hopes. And yeah, it's pretty well guaranteed that they're going to be there. And for St Kilda, they can still drop to as low as 8th. 20-year drought is broken at GMHBA Stadium for the Western Bulldogs. They go down there and walk away with the win at GMHBA Stadium. This time, a little bit of inaccuracy did cost Geelong this time. Western Bulldogs won this game by 25 points. Geelong 11-13, 79 to the Western Bulldogs 16-8, 104. The Western Bulldogs, nice win here by 25 points. And as I said, it's been 20 years since they've won down in Geelong, and just such a huge confidence-boosting win. If they go into the finals campaign, it'd be huge going in this sort of fashion. Of course, last week was a nightmare. This week was better. However, half of Geelong's side, or a fair bit of their side, was missing, including some of their main avenues up forward, Hawkins and Cameron, and then a couple of other of their superstars were missing as well. But the Western Bulldogs are not going to take anything away from this brilliant win for the Western Bulldogs. It was a great win. It is tough going down to Geelong and playing down there, and they did a really good job and definitely did bounce back after a disappointing week last week. And as I said, they are going to be waiting on the Giants result as to whether they'll be playing finals or not. So 2 goals, 5 to 3 goals won in the first quarter. Geelong did miss some chances. In the second quarter, though, that's where Geelong did get out to their bit of a lead. They started to kick away. The Dogs did try and come back, but the margin was pretty relatively comfortable at the half-time break for Geelong. They had 7 goals at that stage. They only kicked 4 more for the game. The Dogs kicked 10 in the second half, including 4 in that third term to the Cats 3. And the Cats had a little... They just had their inches in front at 3/4 time. And then the final quarter, only the 1 goal for the Cats and 6 for the Western Bulldogs. So it was a really good final quarter onslaught for the Western Bulldogs, which got them over the line. Isaac Smith, what a game he played, 160 fantasy. 131 for Treloar, 127 for Libba, 125 for Bontempelli, 118 for Stewart, 115 for Parfitt, 106 for Lobb, 104 for Dangerfield. 3 goals for Henry, Norton, Lobb, 2 for Stengel, Treloar, Waitman, and English. Disposals, 36 for Smith, 33 for Treloar, 32 for Libba, 31 for Bontempelli, 29 for Stewart and Richards. Marks, 14 for Stewart, 11 for Smith, 9 for Holmes, 7 for Lobb and Jones. Tackles, 11 for Waitman, 10 for Bontempelli, 9 for Dangerfield, Parfitt, Liberatore. Hit-outs, 24 for Conway, who did a pretty decent job, to say the least. 23 for English, 18 for Stanley, 15 for Lobb, 1 for Neil. Team stats now, plus 4 inside 50, plus 4 inside 50s for the Western Bulldogs, 50 to 54. Let's see what else. Clearances, they won that. They won centre, they won stoppies clearances, they won contested and uncontested footy as well, did the Western Bulldogs. The Cats did win in marks, though. Led for a little over half the game, did Geelong. They did out-tackle the Western Bulldogs as well, but going on to enemy territory, good win here for the Western Bulldogs, and it does keep their finals hopes alive. Alright, now the second Saturday night game, and it was over in the West. It was West Coast taking on Adelaide. This game was irrelevant for any finals, but of course it was still such an important game for West Coast, considering North had won earlier on in the day. And if they had won this game, they would have gone off the bottom and given North back pick number 1. But they did lose in the end. They do get pick number 1, however, but Adelaide, they were the winners by 45 points in Shannon Hearn's, Luke Shuey's, and Nick Nainui's final game. Unfortunately enough for Nick Nat, he couldn't actually play. I'm not quite sure what was stopping him or something. I think like it's injury or something. But regardless, though, they all still did get farewelled in the West. And West Coast were highly competitive. 12-6-78 West Coast to 17-21. 123 of Adelaide. Adelaide win this game by 45 points. And they did end up getting away in the end. But West Coast, they were keen to send their stars off on a good note. And it looked like it was going to be going that way for some of the night. They started off really competitive in the first quarter. Adelaide started off really well. And again, it was the inaccuracy which really did cost them. And it could have been the deciding factors whether they won or lost the game. Their accuracy, they did have plenty more chances than West Coast. But West Coast hung around in the second quarter. That's where they got the better of Adelaide. 1, 2, 3 goals in a row. And they won to start off the third quarter in a flash. And they looked really good, but then it was Adelaide. They did kick 6 goals, 7 in that third quarter. It was just a dominant quarter. Started to fly away towards the end of the quarter. And then in the final quarter, nothing for West Coast at all. 2 behinds. Adelaide kicked 6 goals, 4 in that term. And it was enough to see Adelaide off to a pretty comfortable 45-point victory, which probably was a bit bigger than what it probably could have been, but yeah, West Coast just weren't there in the final quarter. 164 fantasy for Walker, who was huge with his 9 goals, 4, 21 disposals, 11 marks, 2 tackles, and the 5 hit-outs. He had a couple of out in the falls as well, so he had plenty of chances. 113 fantasy for Duggan, 111 for Kelly, 110 for Laird, 105 for Hoff, and Dawson, 101 for Shuey. Goals behinds, 9 goals, 4 for Walker, as I said, 4 for Allen, 3 for Darling, Darling had a pretty decent game in this one. 3 for Rochelle as well, 2 for Saligo. And then it was Shuey that got a goal, and Hearn did not get a goal, but Shuey did get a goal. 12 marks for Hoff, 11 for Walker, 10 for Kane, 9 for Duggan. Tackles, 9 for Dawson. And then the next was 4 for Allen, Shuey, and Laird. So not a lot of tackles late in the game. 25 hit-outs for Williams. That one being Bailey Williams. 19 for O'Brien, 7 for Thilthorpe, 5 for Walker, 3 for Rotham, 2 for Gallant. Now, I just want to go back to AFL Fantasy. I want to see where Hearn... So, he got the 89 fantasy. He had the 22 disposals. He had 6 marks, 2 tackles. So, pretty decent game as well for Shannon Hearn. Hit-outs, we've already been through that. Team stats now. Again, domination in inside 50s for Adelaide. And the score represents it. 17-21, 41-67 inside 50s in favour of Adelaide. So, that's an extra 26. Clearances, centre clearances locked at 15 all, but Adelaide were the better at the stoppage clearances. Adelaide won contested and uncontested footy as well. Marks inside 50, 11-22. That's a big one there for the Crows. Led for a little over half the game, did Adelaide. Laid more tackles inside 58-15, but as I said, the tackle number was down 47-45. Good win here for Adelaide. Unfortunately enough, though, for the Eagles, they couldn't send off their stars in the perfect fashion, but still... very interesting contest. The Crows won by 45 points. Recapping the round, Friday night footy, Collingwood defeated Essendon by 70 points, North Melbourne defeated Gold Coast by 35 points, Fremantle defeated Hawthorn by 37 points, Brisbane defeated St Kilda by 12, the Western Bulldogs defeated Geelong by 25 points, and Adelaide defeated West Coast by 45 points. Sunday's footy action now, Port Adelaide and Richmond at the Adelaide Oval. This is going to be such a huge game for Port Adelaide. It will decide whether they finish third or fourth, and also a game which would have finished who finishes third and fourth will be Sydney and Melbourne. Home SCG final could be on the line for the Swans. They really need this win. And then final game of the round is going to be one of the biggest games of the round. Considering that the Western Bulldogs result went the more intriguing way, the Giants have to win to make finals, and they've got to do it against a rampaging Carlton, who have won their last 9 games. So things are getting interesting. We're going to go to the ladder now. Of course, as we knew on Friday night, Collingwood have locked away the minor premiership. Brisbane do sit in second spot. That's a home Gabba final for them. Port Adelaide would need to absolutely destroy the Tigers to get a home qualifying final, which won't happen probably. Very unlikely. Pretty much near impossible that happens. You need Richmond really not to show up to get that to happen. So Port Adelaide will probably finish third or fourth, and then Melbourne might finish third or fourth as well. So it really does depend on those couple of results. Carlton, they're in fifth, and that is where they'll stay as well. I don't think Sydney can overtake them. They need Carlton to lose by about maybe 30-ish points, and them to probably win by about 30-ish points. Probably even more than that to jump skip them all together. So Carlton will probably stay in fifth because that'll probably be a good game against the Giants, and Sydney, Melbourne will probably be a good one as well. So Sydney can probably finish realistically as high as sixth. The Saints can still fall as low as 8th if the Giants do get the win, which is so important. If they lose, of course, they're not making finals. And then Richmond, they can still go as high as 10th. But Adelaide currently occupy that spot at the moment. Goes Adelaide, Essendon, Geelong, Richmond, Fremantle, Gold Coast, Hawthorn, North, who finish in 17th, West Coast finish in 18th spot on the ladder. But yeah, that's the ladder. Now, also, the Coleman medal race has had a bit of a turn. Nick Larkey will finish third in the Coleman medal race. He kicked 9 goals against Gold Coast. He played really well and has to be in the All-Australian team for sure. In such a poor performing side, he's done a great job. Charlie Curnow will probably be matched up on Sam Taylor for the Giants, so that's going to be a really interesting battle. He needs 2 goals to win it outright, 1 goal to draw it with Taylor Walker, who of course kicked 9 and is currently in the lead. Alright, so 3 huge, massive games these were. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please do make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. See you guys, never miss another video on the channel. Thank you guys, all the smartest. Bye everyone, Flame Footy out.